Is that LEDs in the back of the arrows?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah, too funny. All right, yeah, like I said, I want to jump into just a little bit before we go. Just like I said, a prelude to Ball Busters on Saturday. And it'll be, like I said, we're continuing with the scientific method, right? And I didn't want to do this presentation last week because everyone was every which way. So we'll get back heavy into it on Saturday. So let's pull it up. It's not going to be that long. We're just going to go over the importance of experiment. Get everyone ready for this Saturday. Sound good?
Correct me if I'm wrong, John. Were we meant to do hypothesis? Was that meant to be last Saturday?
Yeah, we were going to do, yes. Yep. Experiment, hypothesis, yes. Yep.
Cool. All one in the same. Yep. All right.
Yep. They're going to be, we're going to go over, like I said, the hypothesis is just beneath this. We'll just go over experiment here just as a, like a forerunner for, we'll go back over it on Saturday and we'll be dead into it. So, and I've talked about this before. The king of the scientific method is experiment. Duh. So whenever you get around my scientific method, make sure you understand that it's mine. That my scientific method, the poster child, the quintessential attribute, the pinnacle, the full Monty is experiment. So you can't get around not having an experiment in my scientific method. Or any of the thousands and trillions of other scientific methods. First, you got to figure out the difference between plural and singular. I know the trans panda rats have problems with that. But you must have experiment. There are 3 indispensable steps of my scientific method. The biggest one is the end of it, the experiment. It's birthed from the queen hypothesis, which is birthed from the first step, the scientific method. Observe a natural phenomena. The critical, indispensable steps of my method, the scientific method, is observe a natural phenomena, formulation of a hypothesis, and experiment. You can't get to step 3 without the first 2 steps. It's non sequitur if you don't have the first 2 steps. Like I said, you cannot have science or natural science without these 3. 66% of the experiment is hypothesis. 50% of the hypothesis is natural phenomena observed. That, folks, can't get around it. Right? And remember, from the University of Rochester Physics Lab, the scientific method distinguishes science from other forms of explanation because of its requirement of systematic experimentation. So, you can't have this, you see that, without the requirement that. Very simple. It's not that confusing. You must have experiment. An experiment is a hypothesis test. So before you have the experiment, you have to have the hypothesis. From Lures, e.g., Introduction in Theory and Application of Molecular and Quantum Mechanics. The final arbiter of truth in science is experiment. From Professor Shankar, Chair of Physics at Yale. The only way things change in physics is experiments. Everything that leaves no question about what is and what is not science. If everything, there's no loopholes. Everything is based on experiment. That's the only way we change our mind. It's either indirectly or directly associated with this puppy. If it's not science. You're not doing science. Natural science. From Richard Feynman, if it doesn't agree with experiment, it's wrong. Huh. And that simple statement is the key to science. So what Dick's trying to tell you here is, if you don't have the key, you can't enter the science room. What is that key? Experiment. Got to have it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You must have it. From Max Planck, see, we're not dealing. These are big guys. We're not playing any games here. got Feynman, you got Max Planck, right? Chair of Physics at Yale, Shankar. These are big guys, man. They ought to know what they're talking about. So for Max Planck, experiment is the only means of knowledge at our disposal. He's talking about in the context of natural science. Experiment is the only means of knowledge at our disposal. Everything else is poetry and imagination. He's correct. In natural science, this is all you have. Experiment. Everything, like I said, is, if it's not directly the experiment, it's indirectly leading to the experiment. Back to the University of Rochester physics labs. There's no way around this. The scientific method requires that a hypothesis be ruled out or modified if its predictions are clearly and repeatedly incompatible with experimental tests. Further, no matter how elegant a theory is, its predictions must agree with experimental results if we are to believe that it is a valid description of nature. In physics, as in every experimental science, well, experimental science is redundant. You can't have a non-experimental science. That doesn't make any sense. I digress. Experiment is supreme. This is very important, this last part. And experimental verification of hypothetical predictions is absolutely necessary. I don't know how any more clear that they can get. I don't know. How are you going to get around that? You're going to try, Baltards, you're going to try to Elmer Fudd your way. You're not going to be able to do it. We're going to start friggin' laughing at you. Right? What we've been doing for the past 5 years anyway. So, what is an experiment? This is one of my favorite questions I ask people. Right? I've been doing it for a long time. I haven't done it in the past few months, but I might whip it back out again. Experiment from Penn State. There should be 3 categories of variables in every experiment. So my question is, what are the 3 constituent parts of a scientific experiment? It's a very simple question, right? I think in over 4 years, I'll make it 3 years that I've been asking this, I've gotten the correct answer one time. And the one time wasn't from a Baltard, by the way. So it's a very simple question. You got your dependent, independent variable. You get these 2 from the hypothesis. The only addition is your constant or controls that are added to the experiment to make it an experiment. Right? Dependent variable, independent variable, controls are constants. Experimentation, this is from explorable.com, their research organization. Shocking, there are 3 important variables you have to remember when you are designing your experiment. Independent, dependent, control. From Institute of Physics, when planning an investigation, students need to identify the variables that they consider significant and then select the ones they want to look at for what? Cause and effect. That's all an experiment adjudicates, or natural cause and effect relationships. How, why questions. That's all it can do. Why? Because the independent variable is the cause factor and the dependent variable is the effect. It's always going to be a cause and effect. Always. You're not going to find a what is question, a measurement question, an equation in the scientific method. It's non sequitur. You're in the category error. It's stupid. Right? You're always going after a natural cause and effect relationship, just like they just told you from the Institute of Physics. For goodness sakes. I'm not the Institute of Physics. If possible, any other variables that will affect the outcome of the experiment need to be kept constant during the investigation. Yeah, the constant ones are controls. They're interchangeable. Right? So a what is question's not going to fit in here. Right? Is the Earth a sphere or round? That's not going to, or a sphere or flat. That's not going to fit in here. Right? Because that's a what is question. How much does something weigh? We can get into the weight because they don't even know what that means. How much something weighs is not a scientific endeavor. There's no hypothesis. It's non sequitur. Anything on that order, what something is, that doesn't fit here. It's not science. You can get to what something is for it to be true. It's just not science. It doesn't go through the scientific method. Even from Wiki, from their alma mater, an experiment is a procedure carried out to support, refute, or validate a hypothesis. Experiments provide insight into what? Cause and effect. Duh. By demonstrating what outcome occurs when a particular factor is manipulated. I wonder what that factor is right there. Probably a mystery. Unbelievable. From McClellan Kristen, Nature of Science and the Scientific Method. Experiment. Once the hypothesis has been established, it is time to test it. The process of experimentation is what sets science apart from other disciplines. Where did we hear that before? Right? Where did we hear that? That's what we started off at, didn't we? From the University of Rochester Physics, right here. The scientific method distinguishes science from other forms of explanation because of its requirement of systematic experimentation. From the University of Rochester Physics Labs, right? That's where we heard that before. They're saying the same thing. The process of experimentation is what sets science apart from other disciplines. So they're on the same sheet of music, right? With my scientific method. I'm proud of them. And it leads to discoveries every day. An experiment is designed to do what? Prove or disprove the hypothesis. That's what you're in the business for. If you're a scientist, that's your business. Duh. If your prediction is correct, you will not be able to reject the hypothesis. Right, because if your prediction's correct, you validated the alternative hypothesis, thrown out, rejected the null, you're done. It's over. All over. Unless there is a flaw in the experimental design, then it's not that you're going to find out more information later. It's either black or white, 1 or 0, yes or no. That's it. No question. Oh, if we get more information later, it may change. No. That's pseudoscience. Hogwash. Right? Not in an experiment. The only way you can refute an experiment is to find a flaw in the design. Now, it's not impossible to do that, by the way. Right? I've done that a few times myself. But that's the only way you can do it. And if your experimental design is right on 100%, it's impossible to overturn it. That's just the way it's set up. It's a well-duh. Right? So there you go. That's your prelude into, because this is going to be a very important one. This is going to concentrate on experiment, hypotheses. I think independent variables are in here. We'll see what else that we can get into. But there's your prelude. Comments, questions?
I've just got one really quite pertinent. What's going off in the chat is a bit of Cavendish. Chitty chatter. Cavendish, not being Cavendish experiment.
Cavendish?
Yeah. Just with regards to what you said, is the experiment the thing for you to, first of all, conjure up the phenomena?
No.
For you to then science the shit out of it? Or should you already have your phenomena, yeah, already there, that you're then going to use the experiment to isolate variables, control, independence, yeah, so that you can then apply the scientific method to it within the experiment? Seems to be a point that going off here, that in the chat, like I said, that there's a lack of recognition that we can't have the actual phenomena being conjured within the experiment.
No. What the problem is they're out there and they're fermenting the raccoons and they're taking a little bit too much of the coon juice. That's the problem. Yeah, you don't conjure the phenomena inside the experimental setting. It goes step by step. Natural phenomena, that's where you get your dependent variable from, the effect. That's always the first step. You don't conjure anything, you can't do it. In fact, Niels Bohr tells you can't do that. It doesn't work. And then you come up with the cause that formulates the hypothesis. The next step is the experiment. So it must go in that order. It can't go in any other order. Oh.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Newton's apple went from simply, from my perspective, up to down to the ground. Okay, and that's what they're trying to pretend here. This application of force, that's attracting the apple that's up there down. What we do in the Cavendish is turn it on its side. So we're not even representing the reality of what we're supposed to be purporting the force is, and then we imagineer something. And this is the point I'm trying to get to, that we have to have this observation in reality first before we take it to experiment.
That's correct.
With regards to Cavendish, I've never seen two balls hanging anywhere where they're attracted together. Well, gents' locker room excluded, but there's not the observation that you can then, and this is the point, then take to the experiment. The experiment is there to try and isolate all the variables that could be affecting this thing so that you have some certainty. And the better the experiment, the better it isolates just both taking all the side effects that could be occurring and just dealing with the independent and dependent variables. That's the best experiment, where it just isolates the effects of those. Yeah, that's the point of the experiment. It's not there to, with regards to Cavendish, and there is no better example for me with regards to pseudoscience as of the Cavendish experiment, because it is the prime example of conjuring your own phenomena to and extrapolate on something you never see or observe in reality in the natural world. You then try and draw it to conclusion from your apparatus, which is not the purpose of the apparatus.
Correct. Yeah, and it's 106 year out of date pseudoscience. Anyway, Mitchell, you wanted to chime in on it?
Yeah, I was going to say this is an important point, because if you are conjuring the observed phenomenon in the first instance, then it is never going to be natural. That is the criteria. It has to be a natural phenomenon. If you are conjuring it, it is man-made.
Or it's not. It's just non sequitur. You can but you can conjure unicorns. That's not man-made. I'm following what you're saying. I got you. Right? It's man-made in a sense. It's conjured in the imagination. I'm tracking with you. Okay.
Yeah. My point is, yeah, it's not natural, and that's the criteria. It has to be natural. It can't be synthetic, supernatural, man-made. It has to be natural.
Oh, they have a big problem with that. Before you get into that, Adam, they have a huge problem, and I've isolated it a couple times in the numpty clips. They think there are only two categories that everything falls into. Either natural, and then they say supernatural. They think the Baltards, I'm telling you, as a collective, this isn't a stereotype. They all say this in unison. Everyone I've talked to has problems with this. The Baltards. I haven't met one that hasn't. So they all think that there's only two categories, natural and the opposite, supernatural. Number one, the opposite of natural is not supernatural. The opposite or antonym of natural is synthetic. That is man-made. There are three categories that things fall into. I've done this presentation a number of times. You guys you got that cognitive dissonance mud caked over your eyes and, I don't know, some coon juice in your ears because you're just not getting this. And every time you come out of your little echo chambers and start splurting this stuff out, you're getting your ass handed to you. And the reason is, and I'm just sitting back laughing, because everyone knows, as soon as I say synthetic, your whole claim comes crashing down like Humpty Dumpty, right? Easily, right? As soon as I say, and it's funny, I say, well, can you define synthetic? And you can hear the hesitation, right? Whenever I catch them, because sometimes they're stupid enough to say, and sometimes I'm real clandestine about it. I'll be just sitting in the back and they won't hear me in the hangout, and they'll come in and they'll say, well, there's only two choices, natural and supernatural, right? And then I just jump on them quick and I just ask them, define synthetic. And then you could hear it, right? After the hesitation, it's like they're searching, right? Because it's so simple to defeat these numpty dipshits. But go on. Sorry for rambling. It's important though.
Just following from what Mitchell said there, it's man-made. It is, because the phenomena is observed not in nature, it's observed in your setup. Yeah? So you set the experiment up. Now, if your experiment...
No, it's not. No, stop, Adam. No, it's not an experiment. You didn't even get to the experiment. You can't go to the experiment without...
No.
You're following.
The word experiment wasn't relating to the Cavendish when I used it there.
Oh, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
If your experiment is set up, then if you were to observe these sorts of things in a proper experiment, like this, we've got, my bulbs are attracting each other, yeah? Then that's an error. And before you went to validating your experiment, you try and deal with that. So I've got a torsion bar with balls hanging off it, yeah? Now, if those balls are attracting each other, it means my torsion bar is not balanced. Hence why you get more and more accurate. There's nothing with a zero torsion bar. So the point within, particularly Cavendish, is that what it actually demonstrates is the control variables that you try and control and reduce to a minimum. And what you've actually got with Cavendish is exactly what Mitchell said, which is a man-made effect. The effect we can't define, yeah, because we're not sure exactly which bit of the equipment is faulty that causes this oscillation, and yeah, but we can say that the effect is man-made, that there may be a natural cause underlying it, but the effect is because fundamentally that bit of equipment that we're observing this individual phenomena in is man-made, and therefore it's not scienceable because we've not observed it in the natural world first.
Yes, sir.
I like Cavendish. It's a very good exemplar of the scientific method. I know they love to bring it to us first, but it's one of the things again that's going to bite them on the bum.
Oh yeah, and it's talked about in all the ancillary forums, all the Baltard forums. What they do is they listen to the what their crayon munching leaders say, and they just incessantly parrot it, even if they don't understand. Obviously, they don't understand it, but they'll just parrot it, and people want to stop them, the leaders, from doing that. I love it. So they're leaders of their Discord forums and their channels and stuff. You keep listening to this over and over again in your echo chambers. I absolutely love it when you jump out of your echo chambers and start gawking those damn things you heard from your leaders. It's flame throwing time. Right? I love it. I can't wait. And I know where pretty much everyone's at. So I know all their ideologies. Train wreck ideologies. Sometimes I lose my patience and I anticipate it, right? But I pretty much know where everyone's at. So I just sit back and wait. And it's not only me. It's like I said, it's your regular rank and file flat earthers are just flame throwing your dumbasses. Yeah, a good example. One of the examples that I have here, and it was from Katz and Numpty, Ranty, and Ruhif. I haven't seen that Tower Biggie Mountain Smalley proof not one time from anyone other than those three numpties. Has anyone heard that argument brought to them since it came out? Anyone?
Which one?
That's what I'm talking about. The Tower Biggie Mountain Smalley one, the Blackpool Swan. No, I have yet to be presented with that argument, that claim, by anyone else besides those three numpties. So they're definitely not parroting that one. Right, which is, I can't believe, I don't know why I'm sitting there. Well, if it's such a great argument, why aren't you guys parroting? Even the numpties aren't parroting it. You know, the mouth-breathing knuckle draggers. So that's a dead giveaway right away. But it's a lot of fun, especially the supernatural and natural one. That's a lot of fun. Or time being an independent variable. Because what you'll find is, I love it. It's a perfect setup. Because if you type in, into Google or Wiki, time as an independent variable, you're going to get many citations, right, from people saying time can be an independent variable. But they're so stupid, right? They just take the headline, but they don't think about it. Because where they're getting their citations from, most of these people are friggin' numpties, right? So when I break it down and try to put time as an independent variable, it's a belly laugher. So the moral of the story here is be careful of citations using citations themselves as just arguments. A citation isn't an argument. A citation or citations help support your arguments, but they by themselves are mere baseless assertion fallacies. I don't care who they come from on their surface, unless that person that you cited from supports, i.e. demonstrates what he just said. If he doesn't, that's just a baseless assertion fallacy. I don't care who it is. Richard Feynman, Professor Shankar. If you can't demonstrate, if they haven't demonstrated that the substance within the citation, then and if you cite them, it is now your responsibility to be able to support their claim. Because if you can't support it, it's just a baseless assertion fallacy. You could cite it till the cows come home. Because the important thing here is that citations are not the argument, you numpties. Everyone knows that. If you've graduated high school, you know this. Let alone university. You've never been within earshot of a university of any worth. You're just a clumsy, numpty dipshit. I'm going to tear you apart. Quick. So keep on parroting what your leaders tell you. They're just like big watermelon-sized hanging curveballs, right? I just take my nail spike Louisville Slugger and just wait on you. Thanks. Go ahead, Mitchell. You wanted to add something?
Yeah, time being an independent variable, that's one of the ones that you hear people like Fight the Flat Earth, Craig, say time can be an independent variable. Can you show me time being manipulated, Craig, or anyone else? It is not something that can be manipulated. Just because you're determining the length of what you want to call time of doing something, the length of the experiment, the length of observing something, that's not manipulating time. You have to be able to physically manipulate it, rewind it, stop it, pause it, fast forward it. Can you do anything with time?
Nope.
It's a concept. It's not something that you can touch, feel, smell, see. It is a concept. Time, you have to show it to us first, and then be able to manipulate it. It's just a cluster screw at that point.
Yeah, it is. You can even stop before that, because there's 3 criterion that in order to have an independent variable, it must meet 3 criterion. Number 1, the most important criterion, it's your presumed cause. Right? That's the first criterion. So you could stop right there and say, okay, what does time cause? Directly. Nothing. Yours is good because you can't, everyone gets them into the manipulation part, and it's really good too. I'm not trying to steer you away from that, because that's one of the other criterion. The third one is it has to demonstrably exist, but that's not part of this context right here, just the first 2. So time doesn't cause anything. Time doesn't cause the turkey to cook. Right? It doesn't do that. It's not Schrodinger's turkey. Shout out to Indio over at 24/7. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. Schrodinger's turkey, it's not going to... Go ahead.
If time caused anything, it would have to cause everything, wouldn't it?
Yes, because you can't get out of it. Yes. It's stupid anyway. You got it right, Scrat. You're exactly right. I go over this in the presentation too. You would never have another independent variable. Everything would be caused by time, which is moronic. Right? Time is just... Go ahead, Mitchell. Yep.
There'll be no need for scientific inquiry.
Exactly.
If time causes everything, that is the cause of everything. Why will we have a scientific method to determine the cause of an effect when time causes everything? It is so moronic.
It is moronic, yeah. It's a real belly laugher. But like I said, you'll find many citations from many different places saying time's an independent variable, right? They'll either have, I think most of them have them on, they'll do the graphing thing, right? They think a graph is like a scientific experiment or something. I don't know. They're smoking coon juice. They'll have it on the x-axis or something. Well, you move time in this way. Yeah. Well, you can't manipulate time. Are you Doc Brown? No. And it doesn't cause anything like Schrodinger's turkey, right? It doesn't do any. It's the concept here. Let me define it for you for the 697,875th time, baltards. Time is the conceptual medium in which all the events in what we call the universe take place in. That's all it is. Right? You can't bend it. You can't work. You can't physically manipulate a concept. Right? You can't bend love. Right? It's not gonna do it. Or freedom. You're not gonna be able to do that. So on its face, it's a reification fallacy, belly laughingly so. So we love it when but most people get into the argument when somebody says time's an independent variable, it just goes down the tubes like in 5 seconds, and it's a constant argument for 30 minutes. Don't. Have them put it in a hypothesis, flat earthers. Give us the hypothesis with time as the independent variable. So just pick an effect, right? Beard growth. So time causes my beard to grow? It gets stupid, right? Anything you put as the dependent variable and then have time as the independent variable, it's a train wreck. Grammatically, at the least, it's a belly laugher. So that tells you right away to have them put it in a hypothesis. Now you're going to have to explain to them what a hypothesis is. So you have to know that. Right? But have them put it in. Go ahead. Okay, time's an independent variable. Give us an example. Hypothesis, please. No, we want the hypothesis statement. And if you're smart, you'd have them write it down. Or you write it down. Have a piece of paper and a pen. And make sure they say it a number of times so it's clear. So they can't back out of it. Right? That's how you play that little game. Then just crush them. Yeah, but no one's going to do that. I haven't heard anyone do that, by the way. No flat earthers will do it. They'll go off on some other tangent. And it's okay if you bring up the manipulation part. I got it. Yeah, you're correct. I would just stop and prosecution rested cause. But that's just me.
Yeah, you can cut it off at the legs. You don't need to argue with them. If you want a bit of fun, yeah, go ahead and argue with them. But yeah, cut it off at the legs.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for fun if you want to play. If you want to, your wolf pups aren't that hungry, right? You already fed them some trans panda rats. You're good. You can play around with them a little bit. That's fine. I don't mind. But in the end, you're done, baltards. Every single argument you have, it's like an drunken Elmer Fudd argument. Like Mr. Magoo's blushing. Every single argument you have. I can't think of one that's not. Most of your leaders don't even know what a circle is or a radius. That's how bad it is out there. So I don't know what you're going to do. You're in the corner, man. It's like shooting pregnant hippos in a fishbowl, to be perfectly honest with you. Could do it in my sleep. All right, let's wrap it up. Final thought. Flat Arthur. He's back. Betty, you still here?
Yeah.
Let's go through. You take the con, man. Let's go through. Let's get everyone's final thoughts. Let's wrap it on up.
Okay, I see Flat Arthur on top.
Yeah, I haven't talked to him in no pun intended, coon's age.
Flat Arthur, are you there?
He's probably sleeping. We probably went over our time limit because he's pretty late over there, I think.
Yeah. Oh, he went for a snack with his bow and shot some coons.
Hey, stop with the coon shooting.
I blame Adam.
Do they shoot bows over there in India?
I wonder.
That's a question. But, well, I'll write that down. I'll get back with Flat Earther because he's sleeping. Flat Earther, wake up!
You need to shout his name, not his wake up thing.
Yeah. We can move on. He's cool.
All right. Okay. Next up is Fleric. Hi, Fleric.
Hi there.
You have anything to add to the last bit of the show?
Yeah, indeed. I didn't get everything of the show. Thanks, though. I was busy. I got the part when we discussed the scientific method and so on. And I'd like to add one citation here from the physicist Henry Becquerel, I think, regarding the Michelson-Morley experiment.
Nope,
He
that's not an
says-
experiment.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. May I edit?
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Are you in Ballbusters live stream?
Sorry?
Are you in Ballbusters live stream? It's the text chat associated with the VC here. So
I'm from my mobile and reading from a different screen, so I would just read out one.
oh, go ahead. Okay, go ahead. Yep.
He says, in Michelson's experiment, everything appears as if the Earth were motionless. The disagreement between experiment and theory is brutal, and I think this fits perfectly on what we discussed regarding if it doesn't agree with experimentation, it's wrong, you know? I just wanted to add that. Thanks.
Yeah, if it was an experiment, that would be right, but Michelson-Morley's not an
Yeah.
experiment.
Yeah, I was going to say, whilst the logical conclusions with the presupposition within the Michelson-Morley setup and what it may or may not show, it's certainly not science. Yeah, we weren't affecting rotation, were we? We weren't manipulating that, and that's what we'd be hoping to show within the change in the apparatus. Not confirmation, really, isn't it? If this, then it means this, without being able to vary it or manipulate it.
Hey, shout out to Witsit out there. Witsit gets it. What's up, man? I just moseyed on over to chat, so I missed you up there. So shout out to Witsit, man. He's killing it. So sorry about that, Adam.
No, shout out Witsit. Hope he's doing all right. I've not seen much of him since him doing a bit of a me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
play, bro.
He's still. I'm sorry, I went on mute. He's doing a little bit of the you. that's yeah. I had a little shout out with that. That was how long ago was that, Adam?
2019, October 2019.
Was it 29? Wow, that was. How time just flies, man.
Everything then got locked down, didn't it? The flat Euro tour finished and Christmas hit, and then it all shut down, didn't it? That was the
Yeah,
kind of last time I hit the streets. Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I wasn't ready for that. He pulled a U.
No, fair play. I thought it was brilliant. I love the way he stood his ground. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Yep.
But kept making the points, which is the best thing. You're pulling the crowd, so you may as well keep making the points. I thought fair play with it. All I did was get punched in the nuts and dragged off to a cop shop. You know? You'll seem a lot more civilized.
Yeah. His was a little. I think a little. I don't think we seen it all, but I don't think they punched him in the jewels.
That's one ball that was flat for a bit.
Oh, geez, here we go. Betty, save us.
How?
Yeah, I don't know. I said save us. I didn't give you the technique.
No. Shall I get my bow?
Oh, brother, you don't got a. They don't bow. What? They don't do any bows in the Netherlands.
Well, you have the old-fashioned ones, not these intricate.
That's incorrect. That's incorrect, by the way. I seen some championships held in the Netherlands with compound bows, so you're wrong.
Yeah, the thing is, I've never. Once you showed me that one, you shooting that such a thing, I've never seen them before. Ever.
Right. A lot of people say that. Yep.
The crossbows and the other ones, the normal ones. Yeah. It is not really a bow, right? Because a bow, it sounds like you have to have a curve in it, right? Somewhere.
Yes.
Not that strange sort of backwards curve.
Yeah, you have to, when you're talking about it, you just have to say what type of bow that you're talking about, either a recurve or a compound. You just have to set that off at the beginning, and then you should be good to go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Each has its own sort of intricacies, I think, with
Yes.
how it is.
Yes, it takes different expertise. I've seen some recurve. Now, the recurves are not going to be as powerful as the compounds.
But I think back in the day, they shot those, right?
Yeah, the recurves, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be with the curve more, right? Because they are not that fast, but they can go far.
Oh, you can be. I've seen people shoot those recurves. They are really good. So, yeah.
I thought we were talking about the scientific method here.
Yeah, we got back into the bow talk. That's an easy way to get me off my game. I just go right into it. It's easy.
Yeah, I got a Motsy's game. Let me go to the next. Do you want to go to Mitchell already?
Nah, we'll hold up for Mitchell at the end. He can take us home.
Okay, so then Neil, you have something to add, to say about any of the topics? Or are you also asleep?
He's not sleeping. He's working or on the road or something.
Neil, we miss you. Come back to us, please.
No, Neil.
No, Neil. Okay. Okay, then we go to someone that I don't know. And he says who? Let me see if I can unmute you. Hello? Do you want to add something? Person that names himself says who?
Says who?
Who?
Yeah, questions, comments, concerns, anything really.
Microphone?
Yeah.
I guess not. Okay.
Okay.
Now we go to the next scratch. It's flat.
Yeah, Mr. Question Guy. What do you got for us today?
Well, the one I was trying to think of, or I was thinking of over the last couple of weeks, it really doesn't have anything to do with the scientific method. But, okay, according to the ball paradigm, light can travel forever.
What?
Apparently light can travel forever because we see stars from
No,
supposedly trillions of miles.
That's all. That's a whole train wreck right there.
Well, I know, and my point is, according to theirs, light can travel forever, and it curves through the atmosphere. It follows perfectly around the curve of the Earth through the atmosphere. If that's true, then wouldn't the sun have to be visible all the time because its light would always curve around the Earth?
Depend.
Wouldn't they have to have it that way?
You're conflating two assumptions there. The first being...
Well, I know, that's what I'm saying is...
let me explain. The first being that light travels infinitely in a vacuum. Yeah, that's the first bit of their assumption for them to be able to put the stars at those infinite distances. And that's why light has to travel forever in a vacuum, because they need to be that far away. That's the only reason it's presumed it does, because it has to comport to the heliocentric model. That's the first objection. You know what I mean, Scott? They've not proven that, have they? But I know where you're getting, but I think from there to defend that position, that's not a vacuum in terms of circular, like eventually being able to see up your backside. If you had a telescope, which I think is where you're going, that you should be able to do that, shouldn't you? If you had a powerful enough telescope, and because light bends, you should be able to see the back of your own head looking at the telescope on a ball, shouldn't you?
Oh, brother.
Okay, well, if that's true, then why don't we see the sun always?
No, it's not true. That's the point I'm saying. But that's the point that you take it to for the ridiculum. These things to be imagined.
Well, I thought that's what they actually claimed. Didn't Rumpus claim that?
Did.
Okay.
Rumpus did, Buns, back in the old Isle of Man days. Yeah, that's what he said. With the powerful enough telescope, you could look at your own backside. I think that may not be an exact quote, but the point being the same. Yeah, they have. I think they have claimed that in the past. I think that's sort of stuff now that they'd shy away from, because fundamentally, for it to do that, it requires doesn't it? It needs a 7/6 bending rate.
You're going to need R for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot more, because there was, I think I counted 4 begging the question fallacy train wrecks in that. But I understand what you're saying, Scrat. You're just trying to represent them.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Now back to the scientific method. I think I mentioned this once before, a while back, but my son, when he was in 5th grade, he actually learned the scientific method. His teacher even had a song about it, and it explained it perfectly, the method and everything, all the dependent, independent, controlled, and all that stuff. So they teach them the method, but then they gave them examples of experiments that they were supposed to do, and half of them weren't even experiments. They didn't follow the method.
Yes.
And that is frustrating. It's like, okay, he wanted to do one that wasn't. I said, hold on, this is for science. You should pick one that's actually a scientific experiment. But he didn't want to do it. So.
Right. That's the problem that you run into, Scrat. I experienced that same thing. They taught the scientific method surprisingly correctly, and I can only, my daughter it was a longer time. I can't exactly remember what went down with that, but with my son, a little bit more recent, they taught him the scientific method correctly, and they did the same thing you just said. Then he had experiment problems, and I said, well, wait a second. They taught you the right way. You know what an independent and dependent variable is. Then I asked them, for the independent and dependent variables that they've given you, are they valid independent and dependent variables? We both looked at each other. We said, no. But we still had to complete the problem. But he readily recognized that I didn't have to tell him. Right? He said, it's not making any sense. So I know right where you're coming from, Scott. Yes.
All right.
Yep. Is that all you got?
That's pretty much. Well, as of for right now, yeah.
That was that was pretty weak, I'd have to admit.
Well, I've actually been really distracted a lot lately. Like I'm actually quite upset. I missed Debbie's show on the Scripture. I've been listening to books lately while I'm driving, and I got into a really good one, and I totally forgot all about her show because I was involved with the book. So
right.
But so sorry, Betty. I really wanted to be part of that, but I just totally forgot.
Well, you can always look back. I mean, that's okay.
It's
next Thursday.
And next Thursday, yes, this coming Thursday, Betty is going to go ahead and present again. And Scrat, if you just go on the channel and go to the playlist, that's where the money is. So if you go to the playlist, because then you can drill down much quicker. Betty has her own playlist, Betty's presentations. So just go there and they'll pop up.
Well, I actually want to be part of the discussion.
Oh, we can't. No, you wouldn't have been able to do that anyway. Betty doesn't want to have anyone part of the discussion.
Come on, that doesn't want to. It's better to just present it for the first time. Maybe I want to go into presentation over and with panel, but I just want to have some presentations just out there so that we can maybe discuss them later on. I just want to have my thoughts out, so to speak.
Right. When she gets more comfortable,
but you didn't have a
scratch.
Sorry.
When she gets more comfortable with it, then I'm sure she's probably going to open up the panel. In other words,
Okay.
I think there's a lot to discuss afterwards, but I don't think the points Betty's raising are putting to discuss afterwards. I'm enjoying what's being and respect to Betty, because I think it takes a lot of nuts to stand up and give your interpretation of Scripture. I think you've got to be very, very brave and very researched in your opinion to be able to do so. And I don't want to discuss it at every point, but I wasn't discussing Betty's bits with people afterwards. What I enjoyed about the show was sitting and just listening to Betty's understanding. Yeah. And that Betty's somebody I respect in many ways. So to listen to her understanding the Scripture is what I'm interested in, because that's learning for me. How another person I respect, how they interpret the text and how they see it, and the viewpoint that's given, I value. So I look forward to the next, not to engage directly with Betty's viewpoint, just to continue learning, because this is considered. It's like Paula stuff. This is considered stuff. I don't think they will sit together in synergy, and that's what's going to be beautiful. Listening to considered, researched, honest appraisal, and how an individual views that text. It doesn't need, for me, any direct criticism of the interpretation given. I think that's something that only brave people do. So respect that.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. Nice of you to say so. The first presentation was a lot of reading. It's going to be a build up. We need to first lay the foundations, I think, of how I see things, and this is what I read first, right? And I love those first stories of these pioneers like Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, right? I see them as sort of pioneers in a new country and meeting up with enemies and good people and good places, right? So and encounters with God, and that's something that I like. And so when I read that first, that stuck with me, and I like the names of the places that I've been, and it sort of screams at you like you want to know everything, right? So it's a build up basically, and therefore I'm not so into the discussing immediately. I want to do that maybe after the couple of presentations that I've done, and then at least people know, because this is a broad subject. It's so immense that you can be talking about the Bible your whole life and still not be done. So I think it's important to know a little bit of the foundation of my thoughts, and then we can maybe discuss others as well. And maybe there's some little gifts that we can give one another that are sort of in these presentations or in someone else's. And that's what I want. Just discuss.
Hey, I think even though we're just listening, there's a fellowship there, and to quote your first channel, in that and in fellowship there is a blessing. Yeah, and that's what I enjoyed on Thursday.
Yeah. But then again, we have one last person in the list. If we're gonna go through,
are we gonna get to the end here anytime soon?
Yeah.
Keep pimping Betty's new awesome show.
Great analogy, metaphor.
Thanks. Okay, we go to the last person. Vegan Games. I'm gonna unmute you. You've been waiting a long time, maybe. You want to add something? Want to say something? You new guy.
Hey, how are there no videos of the ISS being made?
Again?
The ISS, how is there no video of it being made?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that in itself a proof?
It's probably because it doesn't exist.
I mean, that should be one of the biggest points of discussion outside the scientific method. I mean, this thing should be filmed from 100 different angles.
There should be a lot going on with the ISS that's not going on. So yeah, I agree with you.
If somebody did produce film footage of this thing that purports to be up there, what would that prove? Would we be able to validate that the footage is the same thing? Because, you know, frankly, we've got it now. Yeah, they say there's a light in the sky that you can see, and then they show you footage from it. People drinking water, floating in the sky, throwing tennis balls around, growing space lettuce. They show you these things. Just if they were to provide you with a even closer up shot instead of just a dot transiting the sky, would that be any more real validity, or just?
Well, it should be documented from start to finish. It's one of the most, greatest achievements we've ever made. Supposedly, it should be, documented completely.
No, that's a different point in terms of its complete lack of validation. But
and there should be video of a spaceman leaving an airlock to go out to space. I mean, these things should exist.
Look, we're getting ahead of ourselves. It would be nice to just see a continuous link of something going through the atmosphere, or use their terminology, and transiting to space. Often you seem to have a cutout. We never see these points.
That's
other than in Fast and the Furious 9, where there is, when they take the car to space, they go continuous all the way. You can see Roman start floating. Cool when they hold it together with duct tape. Yeah, but that's the reality. There is none of this documentation to support the bold claims, and to agree with you, yeah,
this discussion is going on 7 years later. I mean, the status quo should be able to demolish anything we've got, but the conversation persists.
To finish the sentence, to agree with you, there should be unprecedented documentation of everything, and there isn't, and that's the point I agree with you on. Yeah, that is the indictment. Yeah.
Is that it? Vegan Games? Anything else?
That's all I got. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yep. Send it up to Mitchell. Sorry, Mitchell's taking so long. These guys, I tell you what, man. What?
I've not rounded out, and Mitchell's closing out. So.
Oh, is he? All right, go. I'm sorry, Adam.
I've only got one thing because it was a good show. Recommendation: next holiday abroad. Yeah. South Korea.
What?
Yeah. Right. So I've been looking at the Olympic medal history of archery, and from what I can see, there's a little bit of early European domination, but both men's, women's. There's a little bit of the Dutch. The 2020 Tokyo Games, the team event, the Dutch came with the silver, but again won by South Korea. For any archery enthusiasts, I think South Korea is the country that certainly is the most impressive. They hold, in terms of number of Olympic golds since 1972, they hold the number 1, 2, 3, joint 4th spot, joint 6th spot with 6 people. Joint 6 is where the United States come in. So yeah, I think an archery holiday to South Korea, John. So random.
Yeah, sorry, Adam. Was that your one thing?
That's it. Yeah, I thought I'd just completely, stick with the topic of archery as opposed to scientific method.
As opposed to the scientific method. Yeah, both are fair game. All right, that's cool. Now, any channel shout outs?
And only the one, and that's the one I enjoy most evenings at sunrise across the plain at Earth School. So yeah.
That one. So he's shouting your channel out. Let's see if he's still here.
Great
Yep.
segue. Thanks, Adam. Appreciate it, mate. This was my flat Earth school for the day. I agree with Adam. What Adam said before, his sentiment. It's presentations from people like Quantum Racer, from Betty, the people who research these things. Quantum Racer just going through the scientific method, parts of his scientific method. Sorry, Quantum, your scientific method.
Yeah.
It's presentations like this that give us so much information, that give us a good schooling. Because this is Flat Earth School. It's all around us since the beginning of existence, and I'm going to be mirroring this stream on my channel today. This was my my live on Quantum Racer channel. Going to be pre-recorded for my channel later. I'm going to try and be here most Tuesdays because the times slight clash until you guys have your daylight savings and I fall behind or in front or whatever it does. Time's all a concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
But thank you for having me, John. Thank you, everybody, for the panel, for the great discussion. Really enjoyed it.
Not a problem. Happy to have you, Mitchell. I mean, like I said, you're part of the team. Hope all your listeners down there can put up with bow hunting and food. They'll probably get really hungry at first and then get upset.
I think they're going to be more. They're going to be more upset when Adam says that we go out and hug ostriches instead of emus, and he says that emus are from New Zealand.
I messed with my melon for a minute, yeah, and I did. I was thinking, what? Because I misheard the two words. I think emu and kiwi in my own head, or conflated the two. So yeah, a good flat earth is prepared to admit when he's wrong. And I did have to just double check and I didn't realise this. And this was my part of learning from this. I didn't know. I didn't know they weren't indigenous. Yeah, I didn't realise they pimped them in from South Africa in the early 1800s. So yeah, point of ignorance there from me, Mitchell.
Sorry, what was brought in? What was brought in where?
Ostriches. And why I conflated, I, from my recollection there, I conflated kiwi and emu.
Hey, easy mistake. Both flightless birds. One will kill you and one will run away from you.
But they sound very different. So why the two resonated in my head the same and I responded accordingly, I don't know. Yeah. Hence why I said I'm a bit lost there. Because there was he doesn't take a lot, really, you can see.
All good, man. All good. No offense taken.
No. I can offend better than that.
Unintentional.
Yeah. Why don't I just displayed my, like I say, just displayed a lack of detail, lack of understanding. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Humility is a great thing. And if you can do it, you can move on. Look. You can't hold me to out now.
Obviously, we can't move on because you're still going on and on and on.
Yes.
Jeez.
I got a question for you, Kiwi.
Hold on. No. You're going to have to save that question because we want to round every time it takes 18,000 years to get to the end. Now, hold on to that question. I was going to say you better up your game for next time, Scrat. Just hold on to that one. Somebody else wanted to pipe in. Neil, he got frustrated. He come off mute about 5 times. Then he left. So, just
He got his chance. He should have been there.
Yeah, he should have. And send a little nastygram to him, Betty.
Nastygram? What?
Yeah.
Is that the new sort of Instagram?
Yeah, almost. Send a land shark.
Nastygram. It's a good place for a new platform, I think.
Take us home, Betty. Because we got to wrap it up here. Sorry, Adam, you're gonna have to wait.
So yeah, we got some a last super chat for you. The first, and in the middle.
We got a super chat. I'm sorry, I haven't been looking, guys. I had to go take care of something else. Sorry about that. Gravity attracts gravity. Make my day. Thanks a lot. I took over your job.
Yeah, you did.
Sorry about that. Go ahead, Betty.
Well, you've been erased.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Betty. I'll give you the pleasure. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was my whole thing. To from the super chat to the end. Now I no foundation.
Now you got nothing.
No, I got nothing.
Yeah, gravity attracts gravity. That was a famous Soundly quote from yesterday on the Numpty Clips. He really screwed the pooch, spit the bit right from the beginning, and he's one of the Baltard saviors? He's a friggin' clown. Mr. Then he said elliptoid, right? He started laughing at the other person. What the hell is an elliptoid? And those are just two. Elliptoid and gravity attracts gravity. There was a whole slew. There was about 23 minutes of just utter nonsense, made up horseshit, right? From a clown. Mr. Planet Orleans Parish. You got more names. You're getting up there to Jim Panda category. So, yeah, look out. Like I said, another Numpty Clip. Is that all, Betty? So I can just round it all out?
Yeah, and the last thing that I want to say was I hope that this Thursday for the recap and finalization of the presentation on the blessing. I hope that people go listen to it.
Yes, this Thursday it'll be Betty's presentation again, and if it's anything like the last one, it's going to be outstanding. So thanks a lot, Betty. Anything else?
Oh, continuation of it, huh?
Yeah, it's going to be continuation, yes. Yep. All right, anything else?
Nope, that's it.
I had 3 things. I've only got 2 now.
Oh, brother.
But the third thing was to shout out Betty's show for Thursday. Second thing was to ask Mitchell what the topic will be tomorrow's Flat Earth School. And the final thing was Korea's definitely the place to go. Right? They've started to open raccoon cafes where you can have your picnic.
Oh, brother.
But more importantly, the government in June the 2nd designated raccoons as animals hazardous to health. So you could go out there with your bow and provide a public service. I'm done.
You're done. Oh, my God.
And then eat them.
Oh.
And put them on as your head.
I'm going to mute all of you. No, I'm
Don't
actually
forget the crab raccoons.
the crab raccoons. Yeah. Oh, brother. All right, guys. Is that it, Betty? I'm going to round out.
You want more puns?
No.
Okay, I think you should round out.
Yeah, let's round out. We're going for a little bit too long. So, thanks to everyone on the panel. It was a good show. I like where we just don't know where it's going to go. I did have the short little presentation on experiment back in the hopper. I did want to go over that and a couple other things. But, we always do food, right? And now that we have an eclectic group, it's even more fun. If you don't like it, then don't listen to it. I enjoy it. I enjoy food. I love food. That's never going to end. And compound bow firing, let me tell you, never going to hear the end of that. And like I said, if you pull back into the middle of the presentation, if you feel inclined, if you lacking gift ideas, Matthew V3, you can't go wrong. Just saying. So get ready for the Numpty Clips tomorrow. Signature, I just want to remind everyone, signature Numpty Clips all for the whole month of October. The next one's tomorrow. It's Kosho, the clown show. Pretty good. We got another few lined up, and we'll do the finale for October and leave them where they lay. So, but get ready. I'm telling you, get ready. You ain't gonna believe it. So, take no prisoners. No quarter will be asked. None shall be given. And remember, I'll be back.